Now that our products page is complete, I will move on to orders page. So if you click here, this is an orders page where in this session, I'm going to focus on placing a new order. Here you enter a customer name, then you start entering all the products, how much quantity. Let's say you are buying 2 kg of rice. Okay, it will be 50 rupees. And then whatever, spinach. And so it shows the total here. And when you click on save, it should insert this order in our database. And our database has two tables, orders and order details. So if you look at order table, it has customer name, total, order ID, date, time, obvious things. And order details will have individual items. So for example, order number 5 has 2 rows, these 2 items. So at the end of this session, we'll complete the whole end-to-end development of placing an order. The first thing, we always start with a Python backend. Here we need to have an orders DAO file. So orders data access or object, okay, order DAO. So that is orders data access object. So that file, what I will do is I will write a function to insert an order. Okay, so the function might look something like this. So here we have connection, and then I can just place an order which will be a dictionary. Okay, so just imagine we have a function called insert order, which takes connection and order as an input. And this function will insert an order. So let me go into my meditation Zen mode. Okay. So here, okay, what are the parameters we need to pass? Well, we need to pass customer name, right? So if you look at this particular page, what do you have? Customer name, order ID, the total, this total, and then order details. So customer name will be there. Then there will be, I'll just call it grand total. Then there should be a date time, which you can say, okay, date time is now. And then there will be order details. Now guess what will be the type of this order details? Make a guess. It should be a list, because the list will have each of these items. So rice, spinach, each of these will be an item in a list. So the product ID, let's say quantity is 2, and total price for this particular product ID. Okay, and you can do same thing for the second product, which is 31. So 31 and 30. All right, now in the insert order function, as usual, you have to get a cursor connection. So you'll say cursor is equal to connection dot cursor, and you have to execute a query to insert an order. Now Google is your friend, so if you don't know SQL, you can just say SQL insert, and most likely you'll find w3schools.com website, which will have very easy example. So see, they have this customer table, and if you want to insert a record in the customer table, the syntax is insert into table name, then list of fields or columns, then values, and the actual values that you want to insert as part of that record. So it's a pretty straightforward syntax actually. So I'll just use this. So order query is that insert into orders, which is our this table, insert into order, you need customer name, total, date, time. Order ID is auto incremental column, so you don't need to pass that. And when you want to do parameterized query, you will do like this, values. So you need now order data. So order data will be a tuple, and you will use the input value here, which is having customer name, grand total, and from date time, import date time. What I'll do is I'll just do datetime.now here, datetime.now. So you don't need to pass it here. It's okay. You can pass it here as well, but it's all same. Okay. And you will say cursor.execute. Okay, what do you want to execute? Well, order query and order data. So in cursor execute, we always pass query as a first argument, then the data as a second argument. So it will take this data and put it in here. See, grand total will go here, date time will go here. And once query is executed, cursor.last row ID will give you the row ID of the last row that was inserted. Okay, so let's run it and see what happens. So I will put some name. Let's say Iron Man comes to your grocery store for doing shopping. So get SQL connection is not defined, of course. From SQL connection, import get SQL connection. We had to import that method. 23, which means it inserted a row successfully, and the row ID of that row that was inserted is 23. Okay, so all right, so I should see Iron Man, correct? Ooh, you don't see an Iron Man. See, your Iron Man is invisible. Why is that? Any guess? Well, it's a very important thing when you're dealing with database, which is you have to call commit method. When you do commit, then only it will actually commit the record. So now when you insert it, you get row number 24 and row number 24. I have my Iron Man. My Iron Man is in my table now. Very good. So Iron Man is very important grocery store customer that you have. So make sure you take good care of him. Now, I only inserted the order, like the metadata. I don't have my order details yet. So those order details I need to insert into order details table, correct? So if I insert a row ID 24, then with 24 row ID here, I should insert two products. So let's work on that code. So here in the order, you're passing order details, right? See, this order has order details. So this has an array. So order details. This is an array. So you can say order detail record in this, do something. What do you want to do? So we are going through order details record one by one. So you get first record this, second record this. And what do you want to do with each record? Well, I want to insert those records. Now, we already saw if you want to insert one record, you do execute. But if you want to insert multiple records, there is this thing called execute many. Okay, so you have to supply the order detail query. So order details query, and then order details data. So the difference here is Since you're inserting multiple records, the data will be in list and the query will be the same query. So here we need some query. Okay, what kind of query it will be? Well, it will be this query. Insert into order details, whatever order ID, product ID, quantity, total price, and these are the values. And this data is a list and each of the record in this list. So if you look at these records, these will be order ID, product ID, quantity, total price. Okay, so first thing will be order ID. Then will be product ID. Product ID. I'm converting it to integer just in case if someone passes this as a string. You know, if from UI this will come up as a string. So that's why I'm converting it to string. The second one I'm converting it to a float because second one is a quantity. Quantity could be let's say 2.5 kg of rice. And total price is also a float. So my records are available here in data. I'm executing the query, I'm doing a commit, so this should work now. So instead of Iron Man now I will say Hulk. So Hulk has come to buy some 2 kg of rice. Okay, could not process. Okay, so execute details is having some problem. So let's see. So I set a breakpoint here, and when I execute it, what I'm finding is the order details data. See, each of the elements are actually it's a set, or yeah, it's a set actually. It shouldn't be a set, it should be a list. So this should be a list actually. So I will now run this. Hooray, 27. Hulk, and now I should see Hulk here. Great, Hulk, his order ID is 27. So let's see what Hulk bought from our store. So 27, so these two items. Now we should move to server.py file and write a routine to insert an order. So the routine will be pretty similar to the other routines where you define an entry point, which is insert order. The method is post. And we are calling that same method that we just wrote. And the request payload will come from the UI and it will be in this format, and it will be a string, so we'll convert string to a dictionary using json.loads. Okay, so my server is ready, so I will just run the server, and it's ready to process those insert order request. So now let's go to our UI code. So in the UI code, I have this order.js function and then or JS file, sorry, and order.html. So if you look at my order, see this particular thing, this page, this front end is in order.html. So if you want to look at any element, let's say new order, see I have new order here. So new order is this div element. And when you do add more, I'm adding more rows. So see add more will be this function. When you add more row, you are adding a row here, so in this one you are appending this row. So this is the code for that. And when the page is loaded, so you want to populate this drop down with all the products, and we have get all products call, so that's what I'm making here. And if you want to find out, you can right click inspect sources, set a breakpoint here, refresh. So when you refresh, you will notice one thing is in the backend, it made a get products call. See, this call was made. And the response. See, response has all the products here. And you are running the for loop by $.each by doing this and appending that into our drop down. Okay. So now when you do add more, this drop down is populated. We are doing also one more thing, which is we have product prices dictionary in JavaScript is called map, where you are storing all the product prices, which is like product ID is the key and price per unit is the price. So what happens is when you enter, let's say quantity as 2, or whenever you change this, see this is changing the price. So it is because of that map. So I can show you that as well. So here I'll put a breakpoint. Again, refresh. So when you refresh, see this goes through it, but it will populate this product prices actually. See, my product prices are populated now, I think. Product prices, I will add it in a watch. The product prices I have already added. If you want to add it, you can just do plus product prices. So you see product ID 1 has price 25, 2 has 100. So if I choose 2, let's say, or let's say 3 has 30. So when I choose 3, see, it will call this function change function. So here, if I choose spinach, so spinach product ID is 12, so it has price 34.5. So see, 12 has price 34.5. So it is retrieving it from that, and then it is setting the product price, this particular thing, and eventually it is doing calculate value. So calculate value will calculate the total value. So let's look at calculate value function. So this one is not setting the item total. It is doing that, plus it is setting the grand total. So this total and that total both are set by that function. Okay, so now I can add a couple of products and see this total is set. Now I have one issue in this code, which is I want you to fix that problem, and that is your exercise for today's video. So as a grocery store owner, you have a functionality where you can give us some discount. So although spinach costs, let's say 30.5, let's say it's a special occasion, you want to give 2 rupees discount. So you give that, but this total is not changing as a result. So I want you to fix that issue so that this total is computed based on these two, not on based on these raw values. Okay. So that will be an exercise for you. Okay. Now all of this is done. I'll just add some name here. And when I click on save, what needs to happen? On save, we need to call insert order function that we wrote in Python backend. So if you do inspect event listener, the click event has this function save order. Okay, so we'll look into this save order function. So let's say I have a breakpoint already set. So I click on save. So here in this function, what we are doing is we are serializing the whole form as an array. So when you look at form data, it looks something like this. So it has customer name, which is Mahesh, product price, and so on. So we'll go through all these elements one by one, and we'll prepare a payload for our Python Flask request. What is a payload for Python Flask request? Well, it is this. So we want to prepare this kind of object in the UI. which will have customer name, grand total, and order details. Okay, so if you look at our code here, see it has customer name, grand total, and order details, and then order details will populating in this loop. So just go through the loop. It's not that hard to understand this code, but eventually we are preparing the order and we are calling this API to make a post call. So when you do call API, it is making a standard AJAX post call. Again, friends, I'm really sorry. This is not a web development tutorial. My focus mainly is Python and database. That's why I'm not going too much into minute details of UI. UI programming you can learn from the Khan Academy course that I mentioned to you, or follow some other tutorials on Ajax and Bootstrap and so on. And now I will make that call. So I'll just run it. It made a call, but see backend has this problem. So backend says order DAO not defined. So I will just say import order DAO and restart the server. So stop it, start it again. Go to front end, click on save. Orders DAO is not defined. Okay, I have a typo actually. So rerun it. So see save. So looks like it inserted the order. I don't see any error in the backend. And the customer name was Mahesh. So I'll go here, run it, and see I see Mahesh order 28. And also in order details, I should see some record with 28. See 28, I see these two records. So this worked okay as per our expectation. So that's all I had for this video session. I have an exercise for you. So you need to go to my GitHub page. The link is in video description below, where I have a description on this whole application. I also have exercises. So you need to do two exercises. So when you place the order, the page doesn't have a validation. For example, you can place an order with empty customer name. So you need to put a validation which says, okay, customer name cannot be empty. And same way, if you see anything invalid on the screen, put a validation. Also, the bug that I talked about, which is when you manually change this price, let's say if I make it 10, 12, see this grand total is not updated. So you need to change the UI code such that the grand total is changed. Okay. In the next video, we are going to look at how to populate these orders, all the orders here. All right. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.